Hi, for those of you who've joined in early, the session is about to begin in a few minutes. You can make yourself comfortable and get all ready. It's going to be an interesting session today. Grab a cup of coffee, and yes, you would want a notepad too. Meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you for a quick little favor. This is the usual sound check that we do. If you can hear my audio loud and clear, and if you can see my video too, good. Make use of the chat window and let me know the same. If you can hear me loud and clear, and if you can see my screen clearly, please make use of the chat window to let me know the same. Quick sound check and video check. If you can hear my audio loud and clear, and if you can see my video too clearly, please make use of the chat window to confirm the same. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for the confirmation. Let's get into today's session. A very good afternoon. Thank you for having taken the time to have joined me in today's webinar. This is Jay from AD Solutions team here at ManageEngine. So first things first, before we get into today's presentation, for those of you who want a copy of the video, the recording, all you got to do is towards the end of the session, I'm going to pop up my email address and you can have an email shout out to me and I can probably, send the presentation as well together along with the video. All you got to do is drop a message to me on my email address and I'd be more than happy to send you over the email with the video recording and yes, the presentation deck as well. All right, so as regards to questions that are coming up, please feel free to make use of the chat to ask your questions. We'll have a dedicated Q&A towards the end of today's session. The last 10 minutes would be for question and answers. So please feel free to shoot your questions then and there. Let me take them towards the end of the session. Yes, so today's session is on empowering Service Desk Plus for Active Directory Management. So why exactly this topic? ServiceDesk Plus is the IT services management tool from ManageEngine, the one that you've been using all along. And yes, Active Directory management is something that administrators, especially the AD administrators, who are also many a times turn out to be IT services managers. Yes, they get to toggle between multiple windows to do something as simple as say user creation or a password reset. So there's never been a provision for any of the administrators to perform actual Active Directory management actions from within a ITSM tool, from within the help desk. So that is the agenda for the day. So we're going to try and understand as to how to get Active Directory management actions done from within Service Desk Plus. All right, so it does sound exciting. Yes, it is exciting. In fact, what we're going to do through the session is this. So yes, this is an integration between Service Desk Plus and ADManager Plus. So today's session is all about going to be the first part of the integration, which is a three-part integration. This session is on ADManager Plus and Service Desk Plus integrating. So the next session is going to be on AD Self-Service Plus and Service Desk Plus integration. So stay tuned and do sign up for that special webinar as well. So today's session is on getting Active Directory management over to your help desk or administrators getting hold of Active Directory management actions. To name them rightly, we're talking about user creation, user deletion, password reset, account unlock, and yes, enabling and disabling account as well. So we are trying to make Service Desk Plus a better ITSM solution, and we're going to do that by integrating with ADManager Plus. To cut it short for you, pretty simple, 3 steps: integrate ADManager Plus and Service Desk Plus, and even before you know it, your end users would get access to make requests or service requests for these AD management tasks. And yes, administrators and the IT help desk will get to perform these tasks right from the Service Desk Plus console without having to toggle to probably your AD users in computers console or PowerShell scripts or any of that difficult stuff. Yes. So, what are the three big challenges that any service desk administrator faces? So, they're listed right there for you. So, you must be going through all of these challenges day in, day out. The first one being the tedious day-to-day toggles that have to happen. And why is that? Why do these toggles keep happening? Pretty simple. The native way of provisioning user accounts does not support multi-platform user provisioning. You can't have users created across platforms. Say, in an organization, all right, it's almost the weekend and you'd want not to spend your whole day doing something as grueling as user creation all through the day across platforms. You receive an mail from the HR Friday saying that there are like three new joinees and accounts have to be provisioned across platforms. Office 365 licenses have to be assigned, Google apps have to be assigned, Exchange mailboxes have to be created, custom scripts have to be configured, so on and so forth. So the very idea of toggling between multiple windows between the native, and not just that, right after receiving a service request, you can't ideally do all of that from the service desk tool, but instead have to jump between consoles to do that. So we are going to try and answer that specific challenge first. Yes, and when it comes to notifications with the native tool, we already know there are no clear notifications. If something goes wrong, it just tells you it's gone wrong, but then it doesn't really tell you what's gone wrong. So we are trying to solve that problem as well. And when it comes to the standardization, say for example, when you have users being onboarded, you'd want to establish some sort of standard in terms of their naming format, maybe, and any other AD attribute. You can't do that the native way because there is no templated approach for maintaining standard in Active Directory. And finally, yes, handling duplicates is a very big challenge. Administrators have that problem. So all of this, starting from duplicates being managed to Active Directory entries being standardized, error notifications done right, and yes, 360-degree user provisioning as well. So all of this are going to be possible with this specific integration, a three-step integration. Yes, it does give you a lot of features for just three steps, three simple steps. That is all. So the next thing that I'll want you to watch and observe is the toggling that you have to do. So just so that you understand how clumsy it could get, toggle between a service request arrives, then you go into Active Directory to create accounts, you go into Exchange to create a mailbox, get into the cloud apps, provision applications in Google Apps maybe, or Office 365, or even harder. So we'd not want you to mess around, or we'd not want you to toggle between all this. We'd want it to be organized for you all under one single window through few clicks. All you got to do is just get your request, approve it, look into the details, and get going. So pretty simple and straightforward. That's what we're trying to achieve today. Yes. The second and the most common challenge, the one that turns us down all the time. What is that? So since there is a lot of toggling that's involved, since there is a lot of manual data transcription that's involved between applications, say for example, in case of user onboarding, your HR emails you the data of the new users. So all that has to be put into your system, popped up into your system. Yes. Again, since there is going to be a lot of manual to and fro between applications, there are high chances that something could go wrong. There are high chances that you might miss out on an entry, which is pretty obvious, which is pretty understandable. Nothing wrong about it, but we can't afford to do mistakes of that sort. So what if we can get the whole process streamlined? So that is the question that we'd want to answer. Can we get the whole process streamlined? Yes, that's going to be possible, again through this integration. The last challenge is the one that I'd want to talk about, or give more focus towards. So administrators and help desk technicians, anybody would agree about receiving password reset requests all through the day. So the end users, they have memory source than that of a goldfish. Yes, can't help it. but then they keep forgetting their passwords all the time. So they need a separate password management tool to help them reset passwords. So instead of that, right after a request comes in, you can act upon it then and there without even having to switch screens. So that is the third challenge that we'll be solving. So to sum that up, we'll be able to perform user creation, deprovisioning, enable disabling, unlocking a locked out account, and yes, of course, password reset as well. So all these top 6 Active Directory actions are the ones that we'll be able to avail through this integration. And yes, there's good news for you because we are working towards incorporating group membership management as well, right from the Service Desk Plus console. So the next time when there's a department change, or the next time when a user requires access to a specific group or has to be removed from a specific group the otherwise, yes, that is going to be possible through the group membership modifications that are going to be a part of the next release of this integration. Yes, so that's a sneak peek for you. So, summing that up quickly for you, what all are supposed to be done to get the integration up and running? The ones that are listed right here, straightforward. First, you got to go on and do the 3-step setup. Then get into the actual role assignment where you can specify which technician. You can be specific. You can handpick the technicians who are supposed to have access to specific tasks. Say, for example, there are a set of IT help desk technicians who can just reset passwords. You'd want them to have just such functionalities. You can do that. You'd want certain technicians, say for example, of higher cadre to have access to user creation and deletion. Yes, that can be assigned separately to them. So we get the provision to assign roles to specific technicians and let them actually perform management actions right from the actions menu. So right after they receive an incidents request, all they got to do is get into the actions menu and get going solving the AD request. Yes, and the final one is going to be the end users having access to a simple dashboard. What am I talking about? The end users having provision to make requests, relevant Active Directory requests through the dashboard. So we're not talking about just empowering the help desk, we're not talking about just empowering the administrators, but we're also talking about empowering the end users, the HR, the line managers, and all of those users to actually make sequential and logical Active Directory management requests. So that is the idea behind today's session. The first screen right here is more of a screenshot that tells us there is a 360-degree user provisioning happening. So what do we have right here? This is the Service Desk Plus request portal. This is how it look if a user was created through this integration. It says successfully created user, Office 365 also created, and yes, like you can see, directory sync was enabled. All details were filled out through a simple form. So this is the first task that we'll be performing for the day. Let me quickly jump to my instance and start off by configuring the integration for availing all these features. All right, so this is my service desk. Oopsie. So that was my service desk plus console. Yes, we are back again. So the service desk plus console. So we're talking about integration between service desk plus and ADManager Plus. So for those of you who aren't aware of what ADManager Plus is, ADManager Plus in short is the Active Directory management and reporting solution from Manage Engine. It's got an extensive list of features starting from user creation to user deprovisioning. The entire life cycle can be managed through the simple interface that's out here. Not just user, every possible Active Directory object that you can think of, in addition to Office 365 management as well. All of that can be performed from AD Manager. And yes, there are close to 200 reports that can come in handy when it comes to your Active Directory scenarios for which you'd want to generate reports. Later today, we'd be also discussing about automation, where we'll talk about automating the whole process of onboarding users and offboarding them. So automating onboarding, automating cleanup, all of that. All right, so that is a quick overview of what ADManager Plus can do. And here we're talking about an integration between ManageEngine's AD solution and ManageEngine's ITSM solution. So we're talking about an integration, and this integration is going to be pretty simple and straightforward. An integration to ServiceDesk Plus. I'm quickly setting the integration up as we speak. All right, ServiceDesk server setup right, ServiceDesk port configured right, the protocol is set right, and just make sure that you check this. It's because you want a tight integration in place, do you not? So enable a tight integration. So this allows Active Directory and Exchange tasks from Service Desk Plus console. So in the start, I told it's a handshake, and a handshake requires 2 bits. The first bit is configured, one side is done. The next side is the Service Desk Plus side. So you've understood as to how simple it is. Just admin, get into integrations, key in the Service Desk Plus details, enable the checkbox. So one half of it is done. The second half of it is from Service Desk Plus. So you got to get into the admins tab. All right. From the admins tab, we are talking about an integration with a Manage Engine product, with another Manage Engine product. So all I got to do is just look up for ME integration. Ah, there it is. ME integration, all right, and we're talking about an integration with ADManager Plus. It's already a part of the Service Desk Plus module. You do not need to install anything separately because these are default integrations that we offer. So no troubles of installing any plugin. It's already there, right there, good to be used. So all you got to do is just key in the right port number. The product most of the time automatically detects, just like in this case where it's already filled out details for me. So all I can do is just quickly test the connection and see if everything is good to go. Testing connections, and yes, the integration is updated successfully. So in under 2 minutes we've got the integration up and running. So what does this provide me with? I've got both of these tools integrated. I've got Service Desk Plus and ADManager Plus integrated. So what do I get because of the integration? Here it is. So when I scroll down, I'm able to see the list of AD management actions that I can perform. So I'm starting off with user creation. There's user deletion, enable and disable, and the most important one, the most frequently used one, resetting passwords, and the one that comes in handy. You'd not want calls at the midnight. So yes, unlocking user accounts is going to be possible as well. So all of these actions are going to be possible because a while back I just set the integration up. All right, so now comes the question of assigning these tasks or assigning these actions to the right technician. So who is going to get access to all these cool AD features? So that can be configured by clicking on the respective item. In this case it's going to be creation. Let's start with creation. All right, so we're trying to provide a certain set of users access to user creation. So you can very well go on and select the roles. Let's say as the admin. Can I do that? Yes, I can. I can select the role. I can be very specific into which administrator or which help desk technician gets to perform this action. And I can go one step further, select templates that are relevant to the action right here. So I can pre-create templates, or I can alter any of the templates that are available. There's one template for user onboarding. All right, so that can be availed. Or to keep it simple, just so that it's just a demonstration that I'm doing today, so I'm planning to keep it simple. I'm saying all templates and all roles. So let's say everybody has to have, all technicians has to have access to user creation. So you just understood that there is a possibility to be specific in assigning roles to technicians to whoever you want or you choose. In this case, I'm just going with all roles and all templates and hitting update. Perfect. So custom menu updated successfully. So every technician who's enrolled will get a chance to make a AD action, in this case user creation. So likewise, all these tasks right here, the ones that are listed, deletion, disable, enable, reset, and unlock, can be configured rightly to the right technician to the right template. Pretty simple, straightforward. So in case you want further assistance as what's to what, if you're finding it a little bit difficult to set this up, that's not going to be possible. But then, just hypothetically speaking, if in case you find it difficult, you can always make use of the help card that's available right here, right next to the integration. So you can get into the details, get going doing the actual integration. And for this to work perfectly, it's important that your ServiceDesk Plus is configured rightly in your Active Directory domain. And for that, the steps are listed right here. The login has to be right, and yes, the Active Directory suite has to be discovered rightly. All right, so that is the basic requirement. All that said and done and tested, so what are we left with? We are left with the actual task of handling requests. For that, first, what do we need? We'll need requests coming into the administrator. Yes, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly pretend to be a requester and start by making a request. I'm going to get into action and explain it to you as I perform. All right, so swapping to a console. Here, this is a requester. Let's see who the requester is. All right. So in this case, the requester is Brendan Murphy, and apparently Brendan is the HR in the company. So Brendan is the guy who's in charge of making requests for new user creation. So the very same format in which your HR had all along been, making service requests for user creation. Nothing different, nothing special, just the same. But the end result is going to be a lot different. Submitting a request. All right. So what do we have right here? We've got a module for user management. Wonderful. So that's exactly what I'd be needing. User management. We've got a set of few actions that are pre-listed for me. That's nice. So here, what do I want to do? I want to do employee onboarding. That's already there. It says create user accounts in Active Directory. That's exactly what the HR would want to do. That's exactly what the onboarding would be all about. So employee onboarding, I've clicked that specific template. Let's see, what do I have? All right. So it says requested by Brendan, the HR. The subject is also pre-filled. It says new joinee onboarding request. All right. So the description is also filled out. Yes. And if you can go ahead and check, we are able to see that there is a provision for, provision for filling out the details of that specific employee. In this case, we are trying to create a new employee. So the employee name is filled out, has to be filled out. The department has to be specified. The job title has to be provided. All those simple actions that you'd always be doing, all that the HR would fill out just in the descriptions tab, is out here as mandatory fields, the ones that you'd want to, fill out. So your HR would have to fill out all of this. Yes. So I've got a question that I'd want to take right now. It's from Nikunj. Nikunj asks me if there is a possibility to integrate HR databases, HR databases like your MS SQL database or Oracle database to pull employee details. That is going to be possible, Nikunj. In a while, I'll be showing that to you through the automation module. All right. So getting back to what we are discussing, we are talking about onboarding employees and HR making a simple user creation request. We just got into one of those templates that have been made available because of the integration, and it said employee onboarding. So what are we waiting for? All we got to do is go on and create a request. So the HR wants to onboard the new joinee. Let's say Hugh. All right. And the department is going to be the sales department. What's the job title? Let's say sales engineer. All right, that sounds fair. I do have my last name right here. I'm going to fill that out as well. If you're wondering why the first name is right here and the last name is right here, Don't worry, this is a customizable layout. A while back, I was just playing around checking how the layout works or altering it to show you just how the layout can be modified. So you can have any attribute placed on any specific location. It was ideally supposed to be right here, right after the employee name, but then I just moved it around and forgot to move it back. So no worries at all. So we're talking about creating an account for Hugh Jackman. We are also able to see that the category is already filled out. The job title is already filled out. Perfect. So what are we waiting for? We have to go on and hit add request. So the request is being made. Has the request been made? Great. So the request has been successfully made by the HR Brendan. The request is for creation of an user account in Active Directory Office 365 G Suite for the new joinee. In this case, the employee is Hugh Jackman. And here are the request details. So what I'd want you to note is the request was a simple, straightforward request. It was very minimal. It just had details pertaining to the user name, the department, and yes, the job title as well. That is all. But then, from the administrator point of view, ideally the administrator has to receive the request first. So that is the first step towards your IT service management. You receive requests. Post receiving the request, you look into the request, check for the data, communicate with the HR, figure out what more Active Directory attributes have to be filled out, things like group membership, things like resources being allocated. Then get back to the team, the actual team, the sales team, get inputs from the sales team for other details. And then after too many front and back, too many iterations, too many to and fro's, that's after all that you get to create an Active Directory account. By that time you would have spent probably half an hour in a simple account creation with apps created as well. All right, so I'm at the admin portal right now. I've received the service request from Brendan Murphy. I'm going to show you how different and, as a matter of fact, how easy the whole process of onboarding will become just because we've got the requests configured right. So the actions menu now includes all of these AD management actions. If you're wondering how, pretty simple. It was because of the integration. So the actions menu is now populated with Active Directory management actions. And what do I have right here? I've got a user creation request. So obviously I got to hit create user, and like magic, you'll be able to see the attributes being automatically populated into the form that is available right here. So what do we have right here? We've got the names automatically populated. Yes, I do have to key in the password. All right, that isn't a very secure password, but then just for the sake of the demonstration, I'm leaving that right there. Okay, so the department says sales, and yes, the job title says sales engineer as well. So I have a console. It says create new AD user account. I did not have to switch to another application. Right from the same actions menu, I was able to receive an Active Directory management window from where I can go on and create an Active Directory user. So what are we talking about right here? So we're talking about getting access to actual AD management right from my help desk, and that too, the action is specific to the request that I've received. All of the data is already populated. All I got to do is hit create AD user and see the user creation in access. So the request is being processed. All right. So we'll be able to see in a while that yes, the user has been created. So Hugh is a part of my Active Directory right now. So if you're wondering as to how exactly this is going to be helpful, because just the basic attributes were filled out and not other AT attributes were filled out, I'm going to show you that the whole process is already done in the background. All right. So that's going to be possible because we've got ADManager already configured. Getting into ADManager, so ADManager has a provision to search for objects in Active Directory. So we just created a user a while back and the name was Hugh, if I'm not wrong. Perfect. So we have the user already in place, rightly set for me. But then I'm noticing certain attributes that I actually never filled out but then are actually in place. Let me quickly get into the user object to check what's happening in the background. So this is the console that let me have access to the user properties. I've got into it and I'm able to see that the users organization unit is filled out. How did this happen? The user's Google app is configured. How did this happen? Getting into the accounts tab, I'm also able to see that the user's group membership is also configured already. This is something that I did not fill out, or the HR did not fill out. Getting in the contacts tab, we're able to see that attributes such as the department head or the manager is filled out already. So almost all those critical Active Directory attributes that have to be in place for a user to be functional, for a user account to be functional, all of that is already in place. But then what I did was just to look into a request and say create AD users. Just two steps, I had to do nothing at all, but then everything has been in place for me. All right, so all of this has been possible because of the user creation templates module in ADManager Plus. So the next time when you receive a request from your HR for user creation, all you got to do is look into the request, just hit create, and everything like magic is going to get pre-filled out for you. And in no time, in less than like few minutes, say 5 minutes, you're going to have an Active Directory user, a full-fledged Active Directory user with all AD attributes, all those required AD attributes filled out. All right, like I told you, the feature that makes this possible is the user creation templates feature. So we've got the user creation templates feature right here. Getting into the user creations template feature, you'd be able to understand as to what happened in the background. So what went behind screens. So here just quickly switching to the console to show you 360-degree user provisioning is applied as template when I went on to create a user through this ServiceDesk Plus console. After the integration, I have a new tab, I have a new console from where I can make a create user request, and a template is already mapped. All right, so I'd want to know what exactly happened in the background. Switching tabs, I'm able to see that ADManager has user creation templates. Perfect. What does it say? It says create users in Active Directory, O365, Exchange Mailbox, wonderful, and yes, Google Apps as well. So I'm going to quickly get into the template and show you what exactly goes behind. All right, so what do we have right here? We've got a layout. The layout pretty much seems to have entry for all important Active Directory attributes. Things like my organization unit is right there, my logon details are right there. Okay, when I get into the accounts tab, I'm able to see that the template also holds provision to configure membership, and in fact, as a matter of fact, goes to the extent of letting me pre-configure logon hours. Oh, that's wonderful. Getting into the contacts tab, I'm able to see that there's provision for setting up the department, the company, the manager, the home phone, and all of the Active Directory attributes. So we're talking about a system that can simplify my Active Directory management as well. Let me create mailboxes, pre-configure data, set mailbox storage, all of that just once, and every other time that I want to make use of a specific template, all right, all I got to do is just hit create and not worry at all. So now you might be having this question, how exactly is it going to be useful if I have users being onboarded into different departments, different roles? They're going to have different AD attributes. Yes, again, that is also answered through the creation rules. So the creation rules are going to be the logic that drive the user creation process. So when the administrator says create user from Service Desk Plus, the product proactively looks for certain fields. If the criteria is marketing, or if a specific role is marketing manager, other AD attributes that have to be assigned automatically or mapped automatically are listed right here. They can be configured. So let's look into rule 2. Rule 2 says department as information and technology or role as engineer. Then fill out attributes for that specific department. domain users, domain IT users, all of that is lined up. The last one is the sales department. So this is exactly the rule that got applied in the example that I just demonstrated. So in the user creation process for Hugh, all right, the HR just specified the department as sales. The administrator or the IT help desk technician handling ServiceDesk Plus just said create user, did not have to fill anything. And all these attributes, the group membership was filled out already, the manager was filled out, the organization unit was also filled out. So likewise, any AD attribute that you'd want to be pre-filled based on a specific condition, all of them that are listed right here, you want them to be pre-filled. Yes, the product looks up into that request, proactively fetches the data entered by the HR, matches the data. If the condition is validated, it assigns values to specific AD attributes automatically based on the rules called as the user creation rules that you've already created. So the whole process of onboarding can be simplified through this single pane. The whole process can take the pain away of your Active Directory management. I'm just going ahead and saving that template. Getting back to AD management, we are able to see that there are more user creation templates that are available. So these user creation templates, a few of them come pre-packaged with the product. They are very user friendly. They are easy to customize as well. So you can go on and set any number of templates. You can create, in fact, department specific templates. So you'd not want those rules to apply. You'd want to be straightforward. You want to say, I want to have the provision to create, say, 15 templates, 10 templates for different roles, 5 templates for different departments. Is that possible? Yes. So you can go department specific and fill out attributes for a specific department, or you can go role specific. Let's say there are new joinees, say trainees, they have to have certain AD attributes. Yes, they again can be pre-filled. So the idea or the logic behind it is pretty simple, straightforward. We have one single pane. This could be more like a test account where you're pre-filling all those important AD attributes, and the next time when you're creating a user, you're just referring to this template and filling out the attribute for that user in accordance to what data is there in this template. It's pretty simple, basic logic. Create templates specific to department. Let your HR get to choose if he wants to alter, if he or she wants to alter anything. They can very well do that when creating a request. So when the HR went on to create a request, just redoing it so that you understand that clearly. Very simple. For user creation, all that the HR has to do, all right, is to submit a request. And in this case, the request is for a user management action. The request was for employee onboarding. The last time, all that the HR had to do was just key in the basic details of the user. Yes, the name and all of this. You get to see that, right? So once such a request is made, it gets forwarded to the IT help desk just the way we saw it, and the IT help desk will have the provision to create the user. A template is loaded by default. So if you want to go specific to a department, you can go ahead and choose from the data that is available right here, from the templates that are already filled out right here. So you want a specific set of users to have exchange mailboxes. You want that, that's going to be possible. You can create a specific template for that. You want users to be created with just the basic attributes, that again is going to be possible. So the permutations and combinations are innumerable. All you got to do is get into ADManager Plus, all right, and try out and let me know if you have any issues or any questions pertaining to how to use ADManager Plus, and I'd be more than happy to help you out create templates and simplify your entire Active Directory management. So the entire user lifecycle management, the first step of it, which is user creation, is simplified through AD management, and it's going to be user creation templates that you would want to create. All right, getting back to ServiceDesk Plus. So we just got a request for user creation. So what more can an employee or an end user, or say for the matter the HR, do in terms of making requests for? All right. Perfect. So yes, this is the first case that we just discussed. The next one is going to be the next use case. Getting into the request tab. All right, so what is the next request that I'd want to make? So the next set of action that I'd want to make is either disabling an user or deleting an user. So I'd want to go on and make requests for deprovisioning an account. Selecting that. Getting into user management. All right. I have provisions for disabling a user account, and I also have a specific template that says offboard employee. So offboard in this manner is completely deleting an Active Directory account from the grid. I can choose to either disable or deprovision an account or delete an account completely. Yes, so I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate as to you as to how that works. An offboard employee request. Alright, so the requester name is filled out. The subject line can be automatically populated if you want that to be that way. You can pre-specify through this specific template. Just so that I wanted you to see that it's possible to customize these templates as well. They can be left open. Alright, so here I can say delete, let's say John, let's say just John. So delete John. So I'm going to say John. So this is the column that is going to fetch the specific user. So when the HR is making the request, the HR can be specific as to whose account has to be deleted. All right. Let's say John. My organization, I'm very sure that there are at least going to be 10 Johns in my organization. Let's see what the product does. Let's see if the product can fetch all of them up for me and let me choose who I'm supposed to delete. All right, so pretty simple. Hitting add request. What do we have? Has the request been forwarded? There you go. So the request has been made. The request is to delete user John. The request says still open. Perfect. It's been forwarded. So all I got to do is switch back to the admin console. All right, get into the requests module, check to see if I've received the request for deletion of user account John. Perfect. So I have the request that is forwarded by the HR, in this case, Brendan. Getting into the request module, I will be able to see that the actions menu has the AD management action, which is user deletion. That's exactly what I'd want to do. All right, actions. Getting into the actions menu. Here, I'd want to delete a specific user, so I say delete. All right. This is exactly what I was talking about. So the request is a dynamic request. So the name of that specific user is fetched and the entire list of Johns in my organization. So I was almost right. So there are 12 different Johns in my organization and all of them are fetched out for me. So I get to specify who exactly has to be deprovisioned. If you're wondering if it's possible to be very specific and just get one user deleted or deprovisioned, yes, that is again going to be possible. Let's say Jon Snow. All right, Jon Snow, who came back from the dead, has to be deprovisioned. All right, so the HR wants a specific user to be deprovisioned. The last time I was a little vague. I just said John and I had 12 different Johns popping up on my screen. So that shows you that the product is a dynamic one. It fetches for Active Directory info then and there. And this integration is going to get you all of that and yes, a lot more. The next build we are working on is going to let you customize all of the attributes that can be part of a user account. Yes. So right at the very start, you can have custom attributes specified as well. So here user management is what we're talking about and offboarding employee is what we're talking about. So this time the HR is a little specific. He does not want the wrong John to be, deleted. So let's go ahead and say Jon Snow, Jon Snow, Jon Snow. Wonderful. Add request. Requests from the admin point of view. Great, I've got a request. This time it's a specific request. It's not just a John, it's Jon Snow. And from the actions menu, I want to go ahead and hit delete. Okay, it's taking a while. What is happening? Loading. Perfect. So I've got Jon Snow alone listed. All I gotta do is select Jon Snow and hit delete. So here I'm refraining myself from hitting delete. You'd obviously know what it will do. It will remove the account. Jon Snow has already had enough, so I'd not want him off my system. So let's not delete. So you've understood the flow, I believe. So pretty simple. The product fetches the user data and lets you just make the decision. All the hard work is done in the background. All right, so the next Active Directory management action that I'd want you to understand, or that the HR can perform, or any end user who's got access to the service catalog can perform, is going to be password reset request. All right, submitting a new request, user management request. User management request, and yes, it's the password reset request. So what do we need for the password reset request? So we need to know whose password has to be reset. The password reset request data is filled out, the subject is filled out. Please reset password for the user. All right, so in this case I again want it to be Jon Snow. All right, saying it's got to be reset for Jon Snow. I add a request. I'm going to check if I've received the request. The normal flow. So when a specific user forgets his or her password, they make a request for password reset, or make the HR, or the say for example the person in charge, the line manager, to make a request. So we've got the request for password reset. What do we have? What do we have? So there is a very specific request, a password reset request for Jon Snow. And like you already know, the flow is pretty simple. From the actions menu, I can choose to reset the user password. Jon Snow is the user for who the reset password has to happen. What do we have right here? We have Jon Snow right here, and it says reset password. So from the very same console, I'm getting the provision to reset password, specify the new password, confirm the password, and as a matter of fact, going a step further, making sure that the whole process is secure. I can actually establish a check. I can actually establish more like a mechanism to make sure that the end user, upon the password reset, also goes further after the new logon, resets his password to something else, or changes his password to something else upon next logon. That can also be possible. All right, so if you'd not want that, if you'd not want to trouble your user, and you'd not want him or her, Jon Snow, to change their password from whatever you set, and that's not the secure way of doing it. So I'd recommend you to check this and select this, make sure you do that, and specify the password and hit reset. So when I hit reset, Jon Snow is going to have a different password, and is also going to get notified saying that his or her password has to be reset. So I did not have to toggle between multiple windows. I did not even open my Active Directory users and computers console once, if you had noticed. I've not even gone there. I've not gone to any separate password management tool. All I had to do was stay inside my ServiceDesk Plus, get a request, wait for the request to come in, and just act upon it then and there through this integration that lets me perform user creation, user deletion, disabling a user, unlocking an account, and yes, like we saw, resetting user account password. All right. So I hope this integration does save you a lot of time, effort, and money, because ideally a resource, especially the IT help desk, gets overburdened with unnecessary requests, unnecessary password reset requests. The users tend to keep forgetting their password, and you'd have to switch between multiple consoles to figure out the right tool and have them reset. So the best part is, since ServiceDesk Plus lets you configure notifications for any actions or requests, for critical actions like unlocking accounts, you can go on and configure a notification for your email and your text as well, just so that you not want to get a call in the middle of the night for a user unlock. So you can very well do an unlock then and there from the service desk through this specific integration that we're talking about. All right, quickly running you through as to what we just discussed. We're talking about an integration that lets you perform user provisioning through smart templates, the ones that I was talking about, where you can pre-configure attributes and make sure that all you got to do is just say create, and every other attribute is already filled out for you and it's in place. Next one is where we understood as to how these actions are going to be made available as a part of the actions menu for the IT help desk. Yes, creation, enable, disable, reset, and delete in addition to unlock accounts. And finally, the templates or user management category, you can have them onboarded or you can have them offboarded. The HR can make requests for any of these actions, and these are also customizable for the end user. So we're talking about a simple system that's going to let you perform a lot of Active Directory management, let the end users make Active Directory requests, and the IT help desk perform Active Directory management without needing any native permissions. Or the best part comes right here. This is what I'd want you to know. None of these administrators or technicians who are performing these AD operations need a permission in Active Directory. So that way, you're keeping your Active Directory intact and secure. But if you're wondering how, that's possible because of the ADManager integration. So all the activities that are carried out by the technician are going to be through an impersonation that happens through ADManager Plus. So your Active Directory is reached out through ADManager Plus. And if you're wondering if there's a possibility to audit all of this, because you definitely want to know which specific technician performed what action, is that going to be possible? Yes, that is definitely going to be possible. And the best part is, you can go technician specific or you can go period specific and figure out who exactly performed what management action through the audit report that are available. So the audit reports, like you can see right here, are very detailed. They tell me that the IT help desk technician has created users, has created a specific user right here, Hugh. The process has been successful. It's been created at this point in time. And if I get into the details, I'll also be able to find the depth of it, seeing what has been the request all about. So you'll be very clear on what exactly happened, as to what values were filled out, as to who did the request for who. All of that is right here mapped for you. So you need not worry at all. You're achieving two things at the same time. You're able to track which user performed or which technician performed what AD management action, and you're also at the same time keeping your Active Directory non-intrusive. You're keeping it perfectly secure because this technician does not need access to Active Directory. And how was this possible? This was possible through a simple impersonation. So all those technicians who are configured between ADManager Plus and ServiceDesk Plus, they need just a simple checkbox to be enabled. When you get into the help desk roles, we're talking about the same technician right here having access to help desk technician roles. All right, the role that gives them permission to perform all those management actions we just saw. Pretty simple, straightforward. I'm able to see that there are accesses. So this says impersonate as admin. So this by mandate is enabled for that technician. So all of that pretty simply done. Got the help desk technician to perform the AD management action. Wonderful. So we just talking about a system that can simplify your entire Active Directory management. So now that we just saw how easy Active Directory management could become because of this simple integration, we're just going to get into one more bit that I'd want to give you as a bonus, that I'd want you to understand and take away for the day, which is automation. Leave alone waiting for a request to come in. What if I tell you, if all of this can be completely automated, all that you have to do is just configure policies and see the magic happen. So when I say automate user onboarding, a schedule is running every single day right in the morning, and all that your HR has to do is to key in a simple CSV file with basic user data, just like the request that the HR made, the same data, and the product is going to proactively fetch for data from that sheet and create users in Active Directory and all of these right away when the automation runs. So likewise, you might be wondering if deprovisioning or a complete cleanup is also possible. Yes, that again is going to be possible. In fact, for that matter, a multi-step deprovisioning can be configured through automation policies that are available. So you'd want the product to automatically deprovision users who've been inactive for a while. You want to quarantine them after, say for example, 2 weeks. You want to disable their mailboxes, and after 1 month of grace time you want to completely delete them. Yes, you can set automation policies that are going to get that done on your behalf. So we're talking about a holistic approach towards Active Directory management through Active Directory automation. So you'll know you when you need automation. Your new employees been waiting a long time before they get into the actual production. That's because accounts take time to get created. But then if you have that automated, when the new employee is ready for work, he is actually ready for work with all those attributes, Active Directory accounts, other user accounts created. And yes, you can avoid a lot of AD mistakes because all of this is templated and all of this is automated. No manual work at all, so no mistakes. No inactive users because cleanup is set up. Likewise, ex-employees can't have backdoor access because this specific deprovisioning we're talking about is a 360-degree deprovisioning. So when the automation runs, when the user is deprovisioned, when policies are set right, the product goes on to not just delete the Active Directory user account, it also lets you delete or remove Office 365 licenses. So any attribute that's associated with that specific user, be it Office 365 or G Suite, or for that matter, the Exchange mailbox that was created, all of that can be removed in case of deletion. All of that can be disabled or taken back or revoked in case of disabling the user through that specific automation we're talking about. So we're talking about a complete wipeout so that no backdoor access is possible at all. All right. So what can be automated again? User onboarding. And how is it possible? When the HR fills out a simple CSV file, the product fetches out the data, fills in Active Directory and all other places, and has the user onboarded successfully through the user creation form. Likewise, for cleanup, as a best practice, you can schedule cleanups and ensure that your inactive users no longer taunt you, no longer are a matter of a security concern. Yes, so cleanup can be automated and its deletion across platforms, licenses being removed, disabled, and yes, your Active Directory clean and crystal clear. So we're talking about magnifying your IT capabilities, saving time, cost, and effort, which in turn is value. All I want you to do is simple. Got to do the math. You now very well know that ITSM is going to be a lot better. Your Service Desk Plus becomes a lot more powerful, fired up, just because we got Active Directory management right into it, saving you a lot of valuable time and those long work hours. So that's what I'd want you to do. What I'll do is I'll quickly share the presentation with you. All you got to do is just write to me an email at j@manageengine.com, and I'd be more than happy to share with you, the recording of today's session and yes, the presentation deck as well. So all you got to do is just write me a mail, and even before you know, I would have sent you all the required data. So for those of you who have questions, please feel free to shoot out your questions. I'm going to take your questions right now. Perfect. So I've been trying to answer as many questions as possible during the course of today's session. I've got one more question. So what about custom attributes? Custom attributes can be configured through ADManager Plus. Yes, there is support for custom attributes. And yes, during this integration, that is also supported. All right. Perfect. So I'm trying and taking all the questions through the chat right now. Keep your questions coming. Let me take more questions. Great. So I guess I've answered all your questions through the chat. For those of you again who want a copy, simple, just drop me a mail. It's going to be jay@manager.com. Let me know how you felt about today's session. Let me know if you want any specific feature to be included to this specific integration. We'd be more than happy to check and get that done for you. So it's going to be Jay once again. Thank you for having taken the time. You all have a great day.